Step 1. Doll Prep. Hey, how's it going? I'm Nick Gaska and welcome to I Could Do That DIY. Today we're making a custom doll out of this CLEO DENILE doll. It's a Monster High doll. The first step is to remove the head. I've already removed it. The first step would be to heat up the neck and the head joint so it's more pliable, and then just pop it off. I'm just going to get rid of this hair accessory. The inner child comes out of me when it's just really satisfying to cut off some doll hair, so let's cut off some doll hair. Cool, so let's just clean up our space and get ready to remove the factory face paint. We're just going to use some pure acetone and some Q-tips and wipe away the face paint. Make sure to use a fresh Q-tip every once in a while so that you don't just keep spreading the paint around. Okay, that's all removed. I'm just going to rinse it with some water off screen. Time to remove the old hair. Let's start by dunking it in some hot water to loosen up the glue, and then remove the hair plugs from the inside. I use a metal tweezer that's actually supposed to be used to thread a serger. It works really well. I recommend something metal to scrape around the inside of the head. I've also used a letter opener in the past. Although the great thing about the tweezer is that you can use the same tool to scrape and pull the hair out of the head. Okay, all the hair's out. This is what it looks like. She's bald. The next step is to remove the paint from the scalp. The doll's all prepped for customization. Step 2. Reroot. Paint your scalp if needed. I'm not going to do mine today because we're doing kind of a sandy platinum blonde. This is my rerooting tool and we're going to use it to stab all the hair plugs in. This is the hair we're using today. We're going to ombre it up from the base. We're going to start with the brown at the bottom and then work our way up to the platinum blonde. All the hair I'm using today is nylon and I got it on dollyhair.com. I'll usually start with the hairline and work my way up from the bottom, and I'll do the part very last. I'll do a lot of thick strands throughout the hairline and the part, but then do thin strands throughout the hair so that the hair still lies down flat after I'm all finished. So while I'm rerooting, let's talk about the fact that I actually used to make dolls all the time. I just haven't really completed one in the last 3 years. I will on occasion go back to reroot or do a face up, but I haven't really finished anything in a while. Here are some of the old dolls I used to make. They're pretty amazing. I'm obsessed with them. I always saw them as little drag queens myself, but that's just me. I actually learned a lot of my face-up technique from watching drag queen tutorials and other makeup tutorials. It can be really helpful. If you want to check out more of my past creations, you can head over to my Instagram. The doll Instagram is @KawaiiDollies. I know it's spelled wrong, but I had to take what was available. Make sure to also follow my DIY Instagram at I Could Do That DIY. Okay, back to the reroot. And the reroot's done! Oh my god, that was so fast. Okay, I'm going to put some glue in it and set it aside. I use liquid fusion, by the way. Step 3. Clothing. Here's a rough sketch of what we'll be making today. Today we're making a gown. Here are the fabrics we'll be using, except for the black. I ended up not using that. We are still using the organza overlay and I'll be scalping the edge. These are the little doll patterns I made. Here's the bodice and the bow that I'm not using. The bodice has a little pleat in it. Here are the skirts, and here's the organza overlay. Wow, everything's magically cut out already. How'd that happen? We have 2 bodice pieces and some skirt pieces. Let's start by sewing the side seams, the front hem, and the sleeve hem. Alright, let's go. Today's gown is heavily inspired by Holiday Barbie. I really love Holiday Barbie and just Barbie in general. Barbie has so many jobs and so many outfits to go with all the different jobs. I really love all of her gowns because they can be a bit ridiculous, and yeah, where can you really wear a gown? Maybe if you're going to an award show or if you're a drag queen, which is why I always think of my dolls as little drag queens. Okay, the skirt's all done and so is the bodice pieces. Let's prep the bodice and connect them. So here's the bodice all pinned. There's the little pleat right there. So just take the left and the right and connect them. I'm just going to use a stay stitch to hold the 2 bodice pieces together. Make sure to fit as you go, because the worst thing ever is to finish a garment and realize that it doesn't fit on your doll anymore. So here's the bodice. Looks pretty good. Everything still fits. Okay, let's work on the sheer overlay. We'll start by sewing up the center back and then doing gathering stitches along the waist. I am also hemming the back opening. After that's all ready, I'll gather it up and attach it to the skirt. Evenly distribute your gathering so it's not super chunky. Also make sure to leave enough seam allowance at the center back for the opening. The drama. After that, let's connect the skirt to the bodice. For some reason, I don't have footage of the Velcro closure at the back, but yeah, I sewed Velcro at the back. It's about 1/4 inch wide, and yeah, it closes at the back. After it was all finished, I did embellish it off screen. Step 4. Face up prep. Today we'll be using Mr. Super Clear Matte Sealant, but before that, let's prep the body. We'll do 2 coats on the face, but before that, let's tie up the hair. Oh yeah, here's the head on the body. And also, here's the finished dress, minus some embellishments. I'm going to be doing that later. So I'm just going to get her hair out of her face and tie her hair back with the twist tie. After that, I'll wrap her hair with some plastic wrap and then tape the edges. I'm also going to wrap the body in some plastic wrap as well. After that, we'll do 2 coats of Mr. Super Clear, and then the head will be all ready for face up. Step 5. Face up. Okay, let's jump into this face up. I'm going to start by outlining the eye with my watercolor pencil. Erase and adjust as needed. It can be a little challenging to keep it symmetrical. Once I'm happy with the shape, I'm going to start contouring with my pan pastels. I'm starting with a white pastel and going under the eye as well as on the cheekbone. I'll then go on her nose bridge, forehead, chin, and jawline. I'm also using another brush to blend out the edges. Alright, let's continue contouring and start to carve out her face. I'll use some brown pastels and go along her nose bridge, her eyes, and then underneath the cheekbone. Again, just blending out with another brush. Alright, let's do the brow base with the same brown pastels. I'll use my eraser to refine the shape. I tend to always flip my doll around. It's somehow easier for me to go upside down for the other side. I'll use a light pink pastel for the lip base as well as for the corner of the eye. Once you're happy with where you're at for the first layer, spray some Mr. Super Clear and continue on. I'm going to use a brown watercolor pencil to do the rough shape of the irises as well as the top and bottom eyelids. And now to add some blush to the cheeks and more opacity to the lip. Q-tips can really help with blending out your watercolor pencils. And now I'm just using some brown pastels to give the eyelid some more dimension. And I'll continue giving the eyes more detail with the various watercolor pencils and pastels, as well as building up my contouring with more pastels and then filling in the iris color. We're going to do some green eyes today to pull in the green that's in the print in the dress. Again, just building up layers of pastel and watercolor pencil. Highlighting the nose a little bit more, cutting the crease, and just continuing to add layers and continuing to refine your shapes. And now I'm using a pink watercolor pencil to outline my lips. And I'll just blend again with some Q-tips, and then add some more pastels. More blush! There's never enough blush. I'm just blending out the bottom eyelid a little bit, and then deepening it a little bit with some brown pastels just at the corner. After that, I'm highlighting the lower eyelid as well as the top eyelid with a white watercolor pencil. Continuing to refine with my black watercolor pencil, and time to color in the sclera with a white watercolor pencil. Just continuing building up the iris color. Just defining the lips a little bit more with some darker pink pastel in the center. And of course, more blush. I'm also adding some pink pastel to the forehead. If you haven't noticed by now, doing a face-up is just about layering colors until you're happy with the end results. Yes, let's carve her out. Now let's give those irises some dimension. We'll use a darker green watercolor pencil as well as a pastel and blend out to the bottom. Now let's work on those eyebrows. I'm going to use the light brown watercolor pencil for the front of the eyebrow, refine the shape with my eraser, and then darken the outer tip with a darker brown. Try to keep your eyebrows symmetrical as possible. Remember, eyebrows aren't twins, they're sisters. Most of the time, mine are cousins. Sometimes they can even be strangers. Today, they're pretty good. Let's continue defining that iris. And now I'm highlighting the brows with a white watercolor pencil, but mainly in the front, and then blending out a little bit with a brush. And continuing to color in the sclera. You can't see this because it's so expertly cropped off screen, but I'm adding some white to the irises. Do some little lip lines. and blend out with my Q-tip. I'm using a darker pink watercolor pencil at the edges of the lip, the Cupid's bow, and then blending out with the Q-tip. After that, I'll continue to build a light pink color at the center of the lip, and then use some dark pink pastel at the outside of the lip to define the shape. Now let's continue to add color pretty much everywhere and really define our shapes. Let's add more color to the irises, and the eyelids, and some more places. Now I'm using some black pastel just at the outer edges. Be very careful with black pastel as this can get really dark really quickly. And she needs a beauty mark. There's good. And of course, more blush. I really want to define those lips, so I'm going in with some more dark pink pastel at the center of the lip and the outside of the lip. I'm highlighting the Cupid's bow with a white watercolor pencil as well as highlighting the bottom lip and then blending out with the Q-tip. Now I'm defining the eyeline with a black watercolor pencil and then highlighting the iris with some white watercolor pencil. Now let's draw the pupil. Start small at the center and gradually get larger. Now let's add some dark green watercolor pencil to the iris. Now I'm defining the bottom eyeline with a light brown watercolor pencil, and then shading the sclera with a light gray watercolor pencil, and then blending with white. I'm just going to continue defining the eyes with dark green, black, dark brown for the eyebrows, and some white. Let's add some white pastels to the eyes, some pink pastels to the lip, and some black pastels to the top of the eyes. Let's continue to highlight and blend those brows. Some more definition to the lip. And now for, in my opinion, the hardest part of the face up, the bottom lashes. Let's use a black watercolor pencil, keep it super sharp throughout the whole process, and just start working on the bottom lashes. Take your time and erase as needed. I start long at the outside edge and get shorter as I work my way towards the center. And somehow I miss filming painting my glares. I use white acrylic paint and paint on glares. I do them different every single time, but yeah, here they are. I use a super fine brush, and yeah, the face up's all done. Let's do a final coat of Mr. Super Clear and get to the finishing touches. Step 6. Finishing touches. Let's put on some false eyelashes. I use Kiss false eyelashes in the style Shy. I picked these up in my local drugstore. I'll just measure and cut the fake eyelashes to size. After that, I'll use some ELMER'S glue wall to attach the fake eyelashes. This is great because it dries clear. I'll just use a pin to grab a small bead of glue and spread it across the back of the eyelash. Just use a small amount, you don't need a lot. It's better when it's a little dry and getting a little bit more tacky. And I just plop her on and position with a pin, and then wipe away the excess glue with the edge of the pin. Make sure you're very careful when you're doing this because you don't want to mess up your face up. Switch between the front of the pin and the back of the pin. You can also use a tweezer to help position. But I ended up just messing with it until I liked the position. Okay, let's do the other side. Same thing. If you're not happy with the position, feel free to rip it off and wipe away the glue. Just do it before it dries. Okay, there she is, Diva. Now let's add some gloss. Well, after the eyelashes are completely dry, then let's add some gloss to the eyes and the lips. Now after that's all dry, let's take the hair down and style the hair and get her dressed. Step 7. Doll photo shoot. Feel the fantasy. Yes, here she is. Her name? Barbara Doll. She looks great. I'm really happy with how she turned out. I add some white roses as well as some white pearls to the dress to really make it pop. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think she's pretty fabulous, so I hope you think she's fabulous too. Overall, I'm happy with all the results. The dress looks great, the reroot looks great, and the face up looks great. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope it helped. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all of our latest projects. I'll be doing more DIYs as well as more repaints in the future, so keep an eye out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!